show is about music profiles, entertainment, and as a lot of you know, I also do a political talk show under the Verbal Assault brand that is live streamed. I also do a TV show, but this is the radio debate, so it's much lighter fare, and it is a very interesting thing. I'm here in the studio with my colleague. I like to call him the engineer extraordinaire. I call him Big Al. And Mr. Al has been around the block. He has a background in music. He is an entrepreneur. He does multiple things. He wears many, many hats, but he is the person that helps to put this show together. So since we are on iAccess Radio, those of you who want to be able to watch the show and other shows on iAccess Radio, you can download the app to your phone. It's a free app, and you can be able to see other shows like Violators Unlimited. We have the Sisterhood Radio Unbothered. We also have Let's Be Clear. But today you're tuning into Verbal. I think I just got assaulted with some audio right there. Al, how you feeling today? I have Tony Nito, who is joining us on Facebook Live here. How you feeling now?
I'm feeling real good. I welcome everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. It's going to be an awesome night. We got some hot topics.
Right on, right on.
We really want to get you engaged. And of course, there is a number, 347-708-0216. Come on, call in.
All right. Now, if you all want to be part of this conversation, like Big Al said, you just call that number 347-708-0216, and you can be part of today's conversation. The show talks about music profiles, music history, entertainment, things that are going on in pop culture. There has been a lot happening in the news this week, and I'm not exactly sure where to start. But Al, I want to tell you that I was at the Billboard Awards this week. Now, this is the Billboard Awards for women, which means that there were a couple of men there. There were men. Obviously, I was there because I was working the event. But they were honoring people like Janelle Monáe. They were honoring Ariana Grande. They were honoring Cyndi Lauper and Alicia Keys.
Oh,
and
nice.
Yeah, I just love it because it's a diverse group of women. And then there was a woman, SZA? SZA? Is that what you call her?
Yeah, SZA.
SZA.
Right.
Okay, so I think she had the most, I think she got like the Pioneering Award or something like that. And then Cyndi Lauper is the one that blew my mind because, you know, I'm in my 50s and I love it because I look a lot younger, but I still love my soul. I still love my rap. I love my disco. I love my funk, and I love, my classic rock and all that stuff. And, Al, if you can remember back in the day, it's funny because we always talk about the fact that when black artists come out, oftentimes they'll only like to have one or two. Only one person can be at the top.
Right.
And it's very, very interesting because in the entertainment industry, the same thing happens with women. And these women with the Billboard Awards were trying to talk about the fact that they should create a database and essentially hire more women to be songwriters, to be engineers, to be producers. And I think that's a great idea because that allows for diversity, that allows for a way of thinking that is just not simply the Caucasian male way of doing things. We have to open things up. I appreciated it because back in the day, I remember that Cyndi Lauper was being compared to Madonna. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but now let me get this right. Cyndi Lauper partook in, I believe, the We Are the World album. And last week we talked about Michael Jackson and we talked about producer extraordinaire Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones produced that. Madonna was not asked to be on that album, but Cyndi Lauper was. So there were so many artists that got an opportunity to partake in that, and that was a cultural event. That was a huge milestone. But Cyndi Lauper got the Icon Award. And what's interesting is that she is actually the first female artist to get 5 top 5 songs consistently. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know.
I listen. I'm hearing this stuff all the time. I just found out today that Eminem is the first artist to have 8 consecutive albums hit #1. But right now we're talking about the women. So forget Eminem right now. I'm going to go back to the women. Alicia Keys was looking stunning, I must say. Cyndi Lauper, damn. Cyndi Lauper looks better now than she did when she was in her 20s.
She's always been awesome. She always had her own personality, her own look. I've really been astonished with what she's been able to do, and she's been holding her own.
Right, right. And as most of us know, besides her having accolades upon accolades because of her music career, which has been kind of non-traditional because she came out in a time where women were expected to look a certain way and act a certain way, and she's got a dyed red mullet. She's got her head shaved on one side, and you know now if you look at Love and Hip Hop, that's the style in Los Angeles. You know, the salt and pepper, shave one side of your head,
right,
and have it kind of bumped up on the other side. But Cyndi had all these colors going on in her hair, and damn, she was up there with some high heel leather boots on, and she had and I'm not trying to talk about the way she looked, but I was just amazed at how beautiful she was. Right. And it's interesting to me because they're constantly comparing her to Madonna, and they're like apples and oranges. And it's just funny how we do that in entertainment. We always say, well, damn, is Ariana Grande as good as Mariah Carey? Is she the new Mariah Carey? Why do you think we do that?
Well, again, there's always been a standard in the industry that, you know, in order for you to have that A-level status, that they need to compare you with someone that's already at A-level.
Wow.
You know, instead of just saying, you know, you have your own style, your own personality, and you're doing what you need to do.
Exactly. And so, you know, when I think about someone like SZA, who I can't even describe her or what she does. Janelle Monáe is another one. How do you describe someone like Janelle Monáe? She's out of the box. She's not tall. She's not, you know, throwing sex in your face. She's just out there making good music. She's doing something that I just think as a creative personality, I admire her for being out there and doing her thing. So congratulations to Billboard Awards for putting this event together. It took place at Basketball City, which is not far from South Street Seaport here in New York.
Right.
And it was absolutely a phenomenal event. But here's what's funny, Al. We're inside the venue. And the venue can't be much bigger than, I don't know, it looked like a high school basketball gym.
Right, I've been there before.
Okay, and they transformed it.
Right.
And, like, it was funny because we saw the tables, we saw the people coming in. You know, there's a kitchen area. And as you step back and you saw the show take place, it looked like something that was taking place in Los Angeles in this 2,500 seat theater. But it was in this little... You know, I don't want to call it little, but it's just amazing to me how they could make something look so major like that, you know, like it was so off the chain.
Right.
So let me tell you what else I did this week. So, you know, congratulations to those women who got their various awards for Billboard Awards. And I want to say congrats to you all. I think the fact that you all want to put a database together, I say more power to you, because with the Me Too movement and all the things that are happening with women right now in society, y'all need to stick together. And I'm glad that we have women that are out there supporting one another instead of, you know, the usual knockdown and calling each other bitches and all that stuff. So, yo, check this out. Bohemian Rhapsody. I saw the movie.
Okay.
Whoa. It's number 3. It's number 3 right now on the Billboard charts.
Okay.
The Bohemian Rhapsody soundtrack. Wow. First of all, I didn't know my man Freddie Mercury had an overbite. And not only did he have an overbite, which is unusual for a lead singer, but he was just so out of the box. You couldn't even compare him to Mick Jagger. You couldn't even compare him to, I don't know. You know these lead singers and how they do. You know, John Lennon and Paul McCartney and all of that stuff. Hey, Suzanne Swing, listen, you guys, and like I said, if you want to call into the show, 347-708-0216. We are talking about some various things that have happened this week in entertainment, and right now the discussion is about Bohemian Rhapsody. Freddie Mercury is an icon in and of himself. And what was interesting is that this was a band that came up in the 70s, and they were a London band, and they called themselves Queen because they were from London.
Right.
Now, they could have called themselves Queen for other reasons because, Freddie Mercury's sexuality and the fact that he contracted AIDS was a big part of that story. But what I appreciated about it is that they were able to create music without, fitting into those rules, fitting into those boundaries. And they were actually quite bold in doing it. I don't know. Did you listen to Queen growing up?
Yes, of course I did.
All right, because I look at you and I say, okay, rap, media. I think soul, funk, but
Nah. My thing was I grew up actually listening to what was it, 77 ABC?
Okay, what was that?
That was a radio station.
Oh, it was
77 WABC.
That must have been a New York thing.
It was a New York.
Okay,
channel,
gotcha.
And they played everything.
Right.
And mostly it was heavy metal, hard rock, and soft rock. You know what I mean? So before there was a BLS, okay.
This is before BLS.
WWRL.
Wow.
Okay. Before I would listen to LIB and those type of stations.
LIB?
Yes.
Oh, no. We had JIB. JIB was an easy listening station that I used to listen to when I was younger.
Well, WLIB originally, they did a lot of jazz.
Really?
Underground, alternative.
Okay.
Bebop and things of that
Wow.
nature.
Wow.
And then they kind of fused into more of the mainstream. Okay. And that was like later on in the late 70s to the early 80s. But I was really, really inundated with listening to that hard rock and heavy metal music, man. I mean, everybody from Thin Lizzy to you name it, Queen, Aerosmith. Yes, you name it, man. I was listening to.
Now I went to a white high school. I went from busing in Boston in elementary school to a magnet school. Now the magnet school took kids from all over the city. So I'm now listening to all types of music, then to going to a high school where black kids are being bussed in a special program, suburban school, our tuition's being paid because we're not residents of the town. And suddenly, I'm being told disco sucks. And I find myself listening to U2, and I'm now being forced to listen to Stevie Nicks and things like that. So this Bohemian Rhapsody movie for me was really, really breathtaking. And I'm gonna tell you why. When you go to the movies in New York, and I don't know about everywhere else in the country, you guys, but here in New York, you have to be very, very selective about when you go to the movies, because if you go to the movies on 125th Street on a Friday or Saturday night, there might be more comment. And 125th Street is in Harlem, for those of you that don't know, which is a predominantly black neighborhood here in the United States. Used to be. I stand corrected. I was thinking, let me correct myself quickly, but you caught me there. And the funny thing is, there can be more commentary in the audience than there is on the screen.
Absolutely. But that's a New York thing,
You think it's a New York thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, people talk smack to the screen
all the time.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you this. So I like going to Harlem 125th Street because now I'm on one of those special little deals. Hey, Kareem, I see that you're joining us on Facebook Live. You are listening to iAccess Radio, the future of radio, and I am your host of Verbal Assault Radio Debate. So the funny thing was that I decided to see the movie on 34th Street, which is kind of near Madison Square Garden in Manhattan Center, but it is by Penn Station, which is a commuter hub. And so I don't get the craziness of 42nd Street, Times Square, and all the wild kids coming from out of town. I don't get the craziness of 125th Street, Harlem, tell that fool to shut up, get up, hit him again. You know what I'm saying? But with Bohemian Rhapsody, everybody was entrenched in the film. And when and the actor that played that role, oh man, if my man does not get an award for that, I mean, that was an Academy performance. I got lost in the movie.
Yeah, I gotta go see that.
Wow.
I really have to go see
Wow. And it's interesting because it showed them going against the music industry. And at one point, the song Bohemian Rhapsody was controversial because they didn't want to include the operatic parts in it. And the record executive was saying to them, well, no radio station is going to play a song that's 6 minutes long. And he said, well, you're going to play the song, you're going to play the whole 6 minutes. So Freddie Mercury had to go and basically hit his own network of people to get it out there. But that's what people used to do back in the day, right? You had to know the DJs, you had to know the club owners. Tell me a little bit about that, because I know that's an old school New York thing.
Yeah, well, you know, of course, back in the days, you had to be connected with everything that was going on. There was somebody who knew somebody that knows somebody that could get you into a place that knew somebody.
Wow.
Okay, and then once you've had the formal introduction with the shakers in the industry at the time, there was a possibility that you could get into any club anywhere. Okay?
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Okay.
And like I said before, when you got into those clubs, there was certain levels of entertainment.
Wow.
So, of course, if you went there to just dance, okay, you was on the dance floor,
okay,
clubbing it.
But that's how the DJs used to decide whether a song would work, was by how the audience responded to the song.
Right.
And I think that's the way it should be done anyway.
Right, absolutely. But even to go back further than that, you got Dave Mancuso back in the 60s that we used to do loft parties. Okay?
Yeah.
And back in those days.
With the red lights?
All of that, black lights, red
lights, velvet posters.
And he started doing stuff like that in his own apartment.
Okay.
Okay, and he really turned into a big thing.
Wow.
There's a documentary out called Maestro that I really think everybody should watch that documentary.
Maestro. Now, where's that playing at?
It's a documentary. You can get it on DVD.
Okay.
But
download. That's what we do nowadays, everybody. We download everything.
All of the beginning portions of the club scene and how it really manifested and who were the movers and shakers back then.
See, and that's why I'm upset that The Get Down is not on the air anymore, because I actually thought that was a very good show, and The Get Down was on Netflix for those that are not aware. But it was, I think it was like $1 million an episode to produce.
Really? Well, I didn't know it cost that much. I mean, I saw it, and again, I don't think it should have taken that much to produce those episodes.
Okay.
No.
But I think they just wanted to get it looking as authentic as possible. I mean, they had the rubble, they had the burned out blocks, they had the graffiti, they had everything going on. It was really good.
But there's places in New York City that you can still go to and
still
get
look
that.
like that.
And you don't have to worry about spending top dollar to get it.
Wow.
You know, you sign up with the city media department. They'll send out the necessary security so that you can film your movie. You get your permits and whatnot, and you get it done.
All right, hold on now. Now, my man Al's sitting here telling us how to film a movie. Wait a minute now. You got skills, brother.
Yes.
Okay.
I worked with Genius from Wu-Tang. He had his own video company.
Okay.
And we did scenes in different locations around the city.
Wow.
When we were doing videos, and we had to go get the permits and get.
Now, Wu-Tang is from Staten Island, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
And we had to go get the permits and all of those things so that we could film without having a problem.
Wow.
And a lot of times they would send some security. They would send New York City police officers to be there so we don't have any issues.
Now, it's funny that you should mention Wu-Tang, because Wu-Tang is the group that created the album that wasn't released. And the Farmer Bro guy, that knucklehead, what did he spend? Was it $2 million?
Yeah,
and I don't think that's a lot of money.
No, it's not.
For an unreleased album?
But the thing is, it's about the group and the dynamic of the group.
Okay.
So we're talking about collector's items now.
Yeah, it is a collector's item, but I think it's worth more than $2 million.
Oh, absolutely. So,
I mean, I think it could have been a $20 million.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Know?
But the initial, the initial reason for doing the album, everybody wasn't in agreement with it.
Really?
You know, and there was some guy from I think he's from overseas somewhere that produced the album.
Okay.
And he was able to get features from different Wu-Tang members.
Wow.
You know, how he was able to accommodate that, I don't know.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, he took and sold it, you know, for that amount of money.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if any of the Wu-Tang members got any proceeds off of that, but it's just real sad to me that somebody is able, a producer can put something together and then reap the benefits off the artist and not see anything in return.
And what I liked about Bohemian Rhapsody is the fact that, like many big bands, they had their struggles, you know. And of course, the lead singer developed a huge ego. And at one point, he said, "You know what?" He said, "You all would still be. You'd be a dentist. You'd be an engineer." And they had to say, well, look, we knew you when you were working at the airport. And he said, well, what would you all be without me? So he actually got himself a record deal. Okay. Now, I don't want to get too much of the movie away, but apparently he got himself a record deal as a solo artist, quite lucrative. And at some point he said, you know what? Everybody was doing exactly what I asked them to do. But the collaboration is what Queen was. It was about the collaboration. So at one point, they actually made a decision to every single song that came on the album was written by the group. No one artist was going to take credit for any song. And I thought, wow, that's great business. And so I think that's what made the band so iconic. The fact that they were all in cohesion, and the fact that when they made decisions, they were a powerhouse. And so when we think about the Stones, when we think about the Beatles, and you know, those bands are legendary bands, really is this something that, I mean, Queen is in its own category. Again, like we said about Cyndi Lauper and Madonna, I guess it's apples and oranges. You just can't compare them.
Right, absolutely.
Now, I'm going to say this. We should take ourselves a little bit of a break, okay? And when we come back, I want to talk about this Academy Awards situation with Kevin Hart. Because that's a shocker.
Okay, so let's take a break, and we'll come back to that.
Okay, you all be sure to stay with us at iAccess Radio. Somebody, anybody find me? Tears
Listen, y'all. What? Absolutely. Listen to me. Oh, I despise. 'Cause it means destruction of innocent lives. War means tears to thousands of mothers when their sons go off to fight and lose their lives. I said war. Good God, y'all. What? Absolutely. Get said again. Oh, Lord. What? Absolutely. Listen to me. It ain't nothing but a heartbreak. Friend only to the undertaker. Oh, is an enemy to all things. The thought of war blows by me. War has caused unrest within the younger generation. Induction, then destruction. Who wants to die? Oh, war. Good God, y'all. What? Absolutely. Said. Oh, yeah. What? Absolutely. Listen to me. It ain't nothing but a heartbreaker. Got one friend, that's the undertaker. That shattered many young men's dreams. Made him disabled, bitter and mean. Life is much too short and precious. It's been fighting wars each day. War can't give life, it can only take it away. Oh, war! Good God, y'all. What? Absolutely. Say it again. Oh, Lord. What? Absolutely. Listen to me. It ain't nothing but a heartbreaker. Friend only to the undertaker. He's loving like a man. He's got no place for the other day. They say we must fight to keep our freedom, but Lord knows there's got to be a better way. Oh, wow, John, y'all. What is it good for? You tell them. Say it. Good God, now. What is it good for? Stand up and shout it. Nothing. It ain't nothing but a heartbreaker. Oh,
man.
friend only to the undertaker.
Now wait a minute. That was War. That was by the Temptations? No. Edwin Starr. And he wasn't in the Temptations? Oh man. That's that song. I was ready to put my platform shoes on and get my bell bottoms. I don't have enough hair for an afro, but you know, I could try to work it for all it's worth. So hey everybody, we're back at iAccess Radio. You can tune into us at iAccessRadio.com. We are the future of radio, no limit to what we can do. I am your host, Marquis Devereaux of Verbal Assault. Debate Entertainment Radio, we are the invaders of your radio experience. And I do want to tell you, I'm glad to have Chrissy Cook watching us on Facebook Live, as well as Tommy Parker, who hasn't heard from me in about a week. He's actually the guy that's going to help sell us media-wise. And Chrissy's like his administrative assistant, or really his executive assistant. And I guess somebody else has just joined us on Facebook, but I'm not sure who that is. I can't see that right now. Anyway, if you guys want to be part of the conversation, feel free to call in at 347-708-0216, and you will be on the air live with me and Big Al, the engineer extraordinaire. So on the show today, we've been talking about Bohemian Rhapsody. We've been talking about Freddie Mercury and how his experience, his career with Queen was so astronomical. It just took off. And basically, this was a guy who came from Zanzibar. I don't even know what Zanzibar is.
Zanzibar was a club in Jersey.
But wait a minute, he's not from the club in Jersey. But apparently it's something of South Asian descent. And so at the end of the day, he was working at, I guess he was working at a certain point at the airport, and they would call him Packy. And in England, that's considered an insult.
Right.
I didn't know that because I'm not Pakistani or Bangladeshi or Indian or whatever. But you can't say that word in London, so don't say it. But anyway, we have a lead singer with an overbite who is somebody who dresses up in women's clothes. And I guess that's kind of what rock stars do. They just kind of get into this headspace where they're doing their own thing. And I guess in the world of entertainment, those that can stand out are those that get the most whatever. So you know what? I want to say this to you. I told you that I was I had a concern about Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart was offered the opportunity to host the Academy Awards.
Right.
That is the most difficult hosting job probably in the world, because you have to be politically astute. You have to be politically correct. You have to be racially sensitive, but you still have to be able to have enough humor to discuss the topics. Now, I when I'm doing a TV show, I kind of know the feeling, even though I don't have the the Academy Award audience. Your timing in comedy has to be like boom, 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 boom. But Kevin's not doing it now. He withdrew.
Yeah, he withdrew for some reason. The reason I couldn't tell you.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you why. GLAAD. GLAAD is a group, gays and lesbians against, and I don't know what the A and the D are for. But apparently, he made some homophobic comment. Well, they're described as homophobic, but he was basically saying that he didn't want his son to grow up to be gay. He says he didn't have a problem with gay people, but he didn't want his son to be gay. I thought that in the world of comedy, there's more liberal places that you can go. But nowadays, we have people that are so uncomfortable about talking about sensitive issues. I mean, Al, do you think that we're too PC? Tell me.
Well, here's the thing that I'm finding out, and this is no disrespect to anybody or their gender, but it seems
gender or agenda.
Or agenda, right?
I think both.
Right, okay.
Okay.
But it seems like the LBGT community, they're extra sensitive when it comes to things. And really, in one voice, they're saying, okay, we want to be equal and have the rights that everybody else has.
Right.
But then they're oversensitive when somebody say, how you guys doing?
Yeah.
And then, I'm not a guy.
Right.
Okay, so again, we didn't mean it literally, but there is a dialect that you have in the community that people use generally. And here's the other side of the coin. Right. So if you're a comedian and you're telling jokes,
you got to tell jokes.
There's no race, gender, nobody's off limits.
That's why I like Family Guy, because Family Guy offends everybody.
Right.
But they get away with that because that's an animation.
Yeah, it's an animation, and then it has a parody to it. But here's still the thing, that when you deal with comedy, you should have an understanding in your mind that nothing is off limits.
And I don't think this should. I mean, I'm from Boston, and Boston is where most comedians come from if they don't come from Canada or if they don't come from Scotland or England.
Right.
And Ireland. But anyway, it's one of those things that I think in the world of comedy, you have to be able to learn to laugh at yourself. Now, Kevin Hart was basically saying that he didn't want his son to be gay. I don't know if he said that he would disown his son. I don't know what was so sensitive. And guys, if you like I said, those listeners out there and those viewers, if you want to be part of this conversation, I would love to hear what you all have to say. 347-708-0216. I have to make sure I get that last digit right. But this is something that it affects me personally. But also, I believe that the community, I believe that the black community has gotten too sensitive. I believe that the phone call. Hold on, I see a heart.
I believe that the black community has got too sensitive. I believe that.
Okay, turn your music, turn your radio down. Oh,
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so I think that voice sounds familiar. Is this Tommy Parker from Florida?
This is the one and only Tommy Parker.
Okay, and from Los Angeles?
From Los Angeles. From
New
Los
York?
Angeles, from New York to Miami to
Dallas?
Tallahassee.
And Omaha? Okay, well,
And Oklahoma.
I don't know where you're running off to next, but I'm glad to have you call in. Now, what is it about this subject that tell me, give me your feedback. Do you think that subsets have become way too sensitive? Now, for everybody that's listening and for everybody that's viewing, Tommy is a good friend of mine. He's also a business colleague. He's also a Caucasian male, and Caucasian males are usually quick to put in their input. So go ahead, Tommy.
Thanks for that. You trying to white shame me on television, on radio?
Whitesplaining, exactly. Whitesplaining. That's what we're doing. So what's your thought on this?
No, so I think along with me, and I think almost half this country, or more than half this country, there was a poll, a study that came out that a majority of this country is over the PC crap.
Yes.
I think everybody, it's too PC. I mean, Richard Pryor, if you remember Richard Pryor, he was as vulgar as they come in every way possible. I mean, he used the word faggot and this and that.
Right.
I mean, but no, everybody laughed. But now, and no one cared. We all laughed. But now we live in a world where you literally have to watch every word you say, and it's not, it takes the comedy with like people like Kevin Hart, it takes it away. They have to watch what they say now.
Well, first of all, I don't, Tommy, I have to say, and Big Al may not agree with me, I don't think Kevin Hart is funny. And I don't think that he's someone that has the personality that should be hosting the Academy Awards. But the fact that Jimmy Kimmel was there last year, and they said that the ratings were very, very low, and David Letterman, another great comedian, has hosted the award show, and he didn't do very, very well. So I think this is the type of show that people want to be very, very careful if they're going to put themselves up in the public spotlight about this.
I mean, Alec Baldwin is as vulgar as they come, and he's like not even PC, but he's loved by the left and the liberals only for one reason now.
There goes that famous word that you like to use, liberal.
Yeah, I love that word.
Well,
But no, he's loved by the left. He is loved by the left, and he's vulgar, and he gets in more trouble than anybody else, yet he's taken in.
Well, hey, check this out. And now, GLAAD this gay and lesbian group was saying that they felt that Kevin Hart should have used this opportunity to speak and bring light to some of the issues that the gay and lesbian community has to deal with. But here's the one thing that I didn't mention either one of you. These tweets were not made recently. These tweets were made some years ago.
Yeah, years ago, but why should he have to apologize and use a public platform to apologize for? But why should he have to use a public platform to apologize for something that he did years ago? That we know that he's got a very diverse group of friends, and he's very, non-biased on any of that stuff.
Well,
like he doesn't have hate for anybody.
I'm gonna add this, and I know we're talking about Kevin Hart here. We're in 2018, but I was reading the Daily News today, and they were talking about Rock Hudson. And for those of you who are a little bit older than myself, Rock Hudson was a major screen idol, and they were talking about the fact that he was in the closet, and he was in the closet because at that time, if you were to put yourself out there as being a man that slept with men, or gay, or bisexual, or pansexual, or whatever they call themselves these days, your career would basically be over. And what I didn't know was there was a time that he got on the red carpet, Rock Hudson, who was in Dynasty in the 80s, kissed Linda Evans, contracted AIDS, He
Reframe that because you said he kissed Linda Evans and contracted AIDS.
Oh,
it makes it sound like
yes. Let's be clear. So Rock Hudson contracted AIDS, and throughout his illness, he was invited to be a guest star on the 80s series Dynasty. And right now, we have the remake of Dynasty on the CW. But back in the day, it was this glorious show, and $1 million per episode. The Bob Mackie gowns, all that stuff. Anyway, moving forward, he in one scene went to kiss Linda Evans, and he refused to give her a deep mouth kiss. And the producers kept trying to get him to give her a deep mouth kiss, and he adamantly refused. And at the end of the day, he basically didn't want her to catch this disease. But that doesn't surmise the story. What surmises the story is that Rock Hudson was very, very concerned about his career being in the toilet. Now, if you can walk a red carpet and someone can call you a faggot, when we reverse that, Tommy, I wonder if Kevin Hart was concerned about being on the red carpet and having someone call him, a homophobe. Do you think?
They're not going to. Listen, that's what we're talking about. We're too PC. Like, nobody needs to call him a homophobe because he didn't call any. He didn't use the faggot word. He didn't use any of those terms. From what you said, he said he didn't want to stop being gay. That's his personal opinion.
Yes.
That was it doesn't mean he hates gays. It doesn't mean anything. And Marquis, I have the biggest diverse group of friends all across the country, and I hate nobody. I have absolute hate for nobody. And Kevin Hart is one of these people that says, "Hey, I have no problem with nobody." He lives the Hollywood lifestyle. He knows what's at risk for certain things, and he's very open-minded with everything. But he has no hate, so they shouldn't have. They censored him, and by shutting him down.
Well, I don't know if they censored him. I don't think they censored him. I think that I think that what someone did is someone went into his Twitter history. Donald Trump, look out. But they went into his Twitter history and they found something that was unfavorable. Now, this isn't just happening to Kevin Hart, and I'm not a big college basketball guy, but this has happened to Kyler Murray, who is a recent Heisman Trophy winner. This has happened to Dante DiVincenzo, who's Villanova, part of the Villanova Final Four on one of those teams. And it's happening with other people, where people are going back and they're saying things when they're 10 and when they're 15. And we're now at the point that people can go into your social media history. They'll go back as far as possible, and they'll find something on you and they'll use it against you. I
mean, they're censoring Baby It's Cold Outside by Dean Martin.
I saw that on your Twitter feed, and I don't believe you. Is that true?
No. They have a whole PC version of that song they made like last year, the year before last. There's this left-wing group. They turned these two people. They made a whole left-wing version of it that's PC appropriate. Okay.
I think it's bullshit, and I'm going to tell you why.
No, I'm not.
Listen,
it's true.
If you listen to the song "Santa Baby, Come On Down the Chimney Tonight," I don't know what is more suggestive than that. Okay.
Okay. I mean, literally, are we that sensitive? Are we that sensitive you can't go back to old school songs that were great songs that we all grew up listening to and never offended us any other time in our life until now? Someone has to say, well, now I'm offended. Well, you know what? Be offended. That's all that's going to happen. You're offended. Get over it. You know what I mean? Who cares? I don't have to live my life pleasing everybody. I can't please them all, but I can be me and be the best me that I can be and be a great person. Well, but if you're offended, guess what? Be offended. Not my problem.
Okay. Well, do you think this has something? I mean, Tommy, you've worked in entertainment. You lived in Los Angeles. You've been exposed to Mexican Americans. You've been exposed to illegal immigrants. You have been exposed to the gay and lesbian culture. You have been exposed to people that are probably drinking snake blood for all I know. You've seen the best and you've seen the worst.
And I made friends with almost every single person I make contact with.
So what is it that's happening now where someone being gay is still an issue, and someone having a problem. Listen, quite frankly, I don't know who would want to be gay, because who would want to go through the ridicule? Who would want to go through the ostracization? Who would want to go through you're demonized? Who would want to go through
my cousin, who I'm very close to, my family, all my family, we just grew up really close. He was married and had kids, and his kids are, his one daughter's 19, I don't know, like 19, 20, and he was married. He got a divorce, and he came out open that he's gay. I said, Richard, I knew you were gay our whole life, like I just knew. He said, yeah, but you know our family, I couldn't have come out. And I'm like, Richard, you could have always come out, at least talk to me at any time, because I'm very open-minded with everybody's life choices. I personally don't care, but people do have a fear of coming out, and they do worry about that. And there is that fear of family shame, and that they might think that they would face. But I think that people really won't have to face it, like they used to. It's 2018, about to be 2019. I think we're kind of over that. We accept who you are and move on, and that's it.
Like I was saying earlier, Marquise, I think that a lot of people are just really overly sensitive. Like, I grew up here in New York City, and I know so many gay men, and there was nothing wrong with these men. You understand? They were nice, they were kind, they were polite, they were respectable, and I've never seen them ridicule or have a problem or anything of that nature, and people knew who they were. My mom and her girlfriends used to hang out with I think his name was Kenny, and Kenny was just awesome. He had a nice conversation, dressed to the nines. You hear me? And when he spoke to you with respect. So again, I don't understand the sensitivity of people nowadays. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I'm gonna take it in another direction, and I'm gonna share a story with our viewers and listeners here on Facebook Live and iAccessRadio.com, and our callers as well. So I live in the Bronx, and my next door neighbor is someone who is Puerto Rican and Ecuadorian. And I say that because I want to let you all know that he's a person of color, and he's a person who could be considered an immigrant, and he could be considered American. Now, that is an important part of the conversation, because at one point he said to me, well, I don't understand why people have to have labels. And he said to me, well, I've had sex with 10 men before, and I'm not going to get into the details of what he said, but he said to me, what? And I said, well, bro, if you're having sex with men, then you're either gay or bisexual. That's just a technical term. But people get so afraid of what they consider the lifestyle, and they get so caught up in what they look like to the public. Hence Rock Hudson being in the closet. You're a matinee screen idol, and you can't live your truth. But hold on, guys. Let me finish for a second. Hold on before you add in. What I do want to tell you is that this guy said that he has had sex with men before. He's not going to have sex with men because he has God in his life. Now, what I should mention to you is that he's an active heroin user, and he's an active crack cocaine user. But he says he absolutely will not use cocaine, but he uses crack cocaine. And when I was having this conversation with this person, I just thought, I think you're extremely confused. And one of the conversations that happen now, and especially with men of color don't like to be called gay, but so when you go into these clinics now, they will ask you, well, are you a man that has sex with men? And I'm saying, well, are you asking if I'm gay? Like, is that the question? So
my theory on this is because we're such in a PC culture, it's created a vision and fear. And this is my honest opinion. I think because everybody's so fearful of offending other people, some people don't want to get out and be open about it because the division that's there. They're thinking there's too much hate out there because of fear of it, because the PC culture's made it this big known thing, when the study showed that I think it was like 80% of the people of Americans really don't care about the PC culture anymore. But there are some people that keep pushing it on the media, that people that do want to come out, they're like, shit, there must be so much hate still going on I don't know about, because like the gentleman in there with you, he's right, you know, that there's an unnecessary fear, and that there's been an unnecessary fear for a very long time. But by pushing this on the media so much and making people think that this is a real hate out there, when granted there's stupid people in the world, we know this, you know, and we just deal with it. But that's such a small minority compared to people that are accepting and don't really care, and they're going to go to work the same way they did every day, put their pants on their legs the same as everybody else, and they're going to live their life. They go to bed well at night, and it's not going to affect them one bit. But they have this fear because the PC culture is pushing it so much and making people, I think there's an actual fear to be worried about, and there's not.
Well, and I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to disagree with you. And one of the things, Tommy, that you and I often talk about is that I know that when you as you know, with our podcast, it's a political podcast, and so you've helped to produce that as well as the TV show, and you lean right. I'm an independent. I'm not affiliated with any party. But one of the reasons I'm an independent is because I feel that sometimes, you know, when we hear about these left-leaning issues, we want to describe people as kind of being deprived or down, and kind of make them dependent. And I think you and I agree upon that fact, that sometimes we utilize people's shortcomings and we say, well, you know, they're never going to take care of you, so come over here and we'll give you a few scraps. And I've always used the pie analogy, where the Republicans have the pie, and they're like, you can have a pie too, but you're going to get your own damn pie. You're not going to have any of my pie. And the Democrats, you know, the left-leaners say, well, I have the pie, and I'll give you a couple of crumbs that fall to the floor. And my attitude,
and the Republicans will teach you how to make a pie.
Well, not necessarily. Okay, they might gerrymander the pie, but anyway, Al was going to add in a comment, so I want to hear what Al has to say. Big Al, go on ahead.
No, I'm going to simplify this, and I'm going to keep it really simple, because it's really a thought process in how we perceive things, right? So let's say there's 3 young men, right? And these 3 young men, one of them plays baseball, one plays basketball, one plays football, right? And you ask their parents.
Okay, so is the baseball one Latino, the basketball one black, and the football one white?
We're not even going to put them into a race or a culture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
because that wouldn't be PC.
Marky, you got to make it about the racial culture.
Well, listen, Tommy.
Every time
Tommy,
there's a man of color on this team, and anyway, tell the story. Sorry,
Tommy. Had you tuned in 3 weeks ago, I had.
Marky, you find a way every time to take a great story and analogy, and you twist it somehow.
Well, listen, that's part of my comedic talent.
Yeah, verbal assault.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you were saying.
Here it goes.
Okay.
So you ask their parents, right? What sport would you prefer these children to play? So let's say the kid that loves baseball, his parents is like, I would rather them play football. Does that make him a football-ophobic?
Okay.
All right. Or the one that plays basketball, his parents may prefer baseball. Does that make them a baseball-ophobic?
Well, that's interesting.
So my thing, the reason why I'm simplifying it is because it's really about titles,
Right.
okay? And we're
Or labels.
or labels, so,
Right.
But we're not based how we are designed and what we do as a people, and our characteristics and traits are not based on titles and labels. It's based on our abilities and the things that we like, and how we are creative with what our higher being has given us. So again, if someone chooses to say, okay, I prefer men over women, why should it be such a big thing?
Well, I mean, okay, Tommy, you've worked in the entertainment industry. Al, you've worked in entertainment, music,
Absolutely.
film, TV. I don't understand why we are going. It almost sounds political when we have a group that's going to go into someone's social media history I mean, they did the same thing with Mark Wahlberg. They said, "Oh, you said the word nigger when you were 14 or 15. I'm from Boston. That's what we did. Nigga, please." You know, we had white people that be like, "Nigga, please," because the white people thought they were black too. They didn't know. They were
We
Irish.
understand that to some degree.
Oh, to some degree. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Tina Marie. I never looked at Tina Marie as a white girl. That's a black.
She's a sister.
She's a sister.
And that's my point. You know, it's how we perceive things.
Yes.
We don't always have to put a label on it, but whatever we receive something as, that's what it is to us. But should it have to be offensive?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the Hollywood elite celebrities turn around and put a voice behind it, and then everybody else here, yeah, you know, maybe they're saying it, I need to agree with it too, and you know, because people are followers, and society we're known as followers, and nobody really wants to be a leader because they're too damn scared.
Well, listen, if we were in London and we had a football team, which is our soccer, they would have players that would come out. They've had one or two that have come out, and it wouldn't be an issue. But do you honestly think that someone could come out in basketball? I mean, we've had people come out in basketball.
They do all the time.
Make them any less masculine.
But see, you're secure with who you are.
Of course I am.
Tommy, you're secure with who you are.
Of course. And the only people who are the ones who are scared because they're told that there's too much hate out there that's going to be against you.
Okay.
And so they hide it.
Well, I'm gonna share a little story with you all. This may or may not be related, so tell me what you think. So I'm coming down the street recently. I'm in Jerome Avenue in the Bronx, where the 4 train runs along, very busy avenue. And I've got my overstrapped messenger bag, and I'm bringing something to somebody. And, you know, the weather's very, very cold. And I see somebody turn around and see me coming. Now, I'm not behind them, but I'm kind of on the side. You know, like if he's in lane 5, I'm in lane 7. So as I'm passing him, now where I'm coming down the sidewalk, I'm going at a slow jog. It's not like I'm running up on him. He put his foot out and he tripped me.
Did you tumble over?
Man, listen.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
Okay. No, it is funny.
When someone falls is like the funniest thing to me.
It is always funny.
Bro, but listen, let me tell you what happened. I had 2 glass frames in my bag.
Oh, okay.
The glass broke.
Oh, boy.
I had 2 phones in my pocket because I lose phones like it's nobody's business.
Right.
And I was going to activate one of the phones. They both shattered on the ground. And one of the metal frames bent. The food that I had in my bag, both the containers broke. So that's how hard the impact was, and it fell on my hip.
Right.
And I had back pain 2 days later. And don't you know this man? I looked at him and said, "Well, why the hell did you do that?" He said, "I don't like anybody running up on me." And when he said that to me, I realized he is probably someone who is interacting with gang people, or someone who's been locked up. Now, we know that when we talk about incarceration, that whole mentality and we know that the women are having sex with the women in the prisons. We know that the men are having sex with the men in the prisons. But it's not something that's supposed to be discussed openly. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But whatever was going on, my man had his prison mentality, and he put his fists up. He was ready to fight me. And I got up. And listeners, you're going to have to excuse me, but the man said, "You're a pussy." That's what he said to me. And I'll tell you what I did. Now, I'm on probation, y'all. Okay? I like my freedom. I like my life. I produce a radio show. I produce a TV show. I produce a podcast.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that are expecting me to come through. And Tommy's still waiting for me to come through. Okay.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about.
Just be patient with him, all right?
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
I've been thinking of Marquis for years.
Thank you. But let me say this. I started to get angry, and I took a piece of glass out of my bag, and I looked at him, and I said, "You need to go." And he looked back at me, and he had his fist up, and he kept lunging forward, and I said, "Brother, you need to go." I said, "I'm on probation. I'm not going to end up in prison." I looked at him and I said, "I will kill you." Now, that's not something you want to put on the air, but you know what? If you're somebody who has been threatened like that, then you don't know whether your life is in danger.
Right.
And I wasn't sure whether my life was in danger. So you know I was going to make sure that I was alive. So
not to cut you off, but he understood the language because you're here.
At a certain point, I told him, I said, turn around. I said, you're going to walk in the other direction. Don't walk with me. I said, because I'll slice you up like a brisket on a Passover. I said, turn around. I said, God is saving you. I said, turn around and walk in the other direction. And I mentioned that because I have been in a situation where I've been bashed before. Okay. Right. So I'm tying that in here because I have to ask myself, well, what the hell's wrong with people that you don't know who you are? Like, my man didn't know who he was. You don't know whether someone's coming up to knock you in the damn head. What's wrong with my gays and lesbians? Come on, y'all. Y'all don't know whether someone's deliberately trying to bring you down. Okay? Listen. What's his name? Seth from Family Guy?
Seth Rogen.
Thank you. I applaud him. I applaud him because he makes fun of everybody. Now, he is a white male, but he's very, very talented. And he's funny. He is absolutely funny. And Tommy, I mentioned the white male thing because usually it's white men that will have an opinion about these things. And those of us of color and those of us that fall into certain subsets or categories usually feel that, well, you
But then, at the beginning, you said normally a black male doesn't want to be known as a gay. They have an opinion, too. So everybody has an opinion. It has nothing to do with race.
Well,
nothing to do with race.
What I did say was that there's a certain ostracization and a certain prejudice that comes with that. And therefore, I don't think anybody would choose to have to endure that. I think...
Right. You said a black man doesn't want to be called gay.
Did I say that? Man. Is that what I said? Okay. What I probably should have said is that there are a lot of men of color, especially black men, that are uncomfortable with being called gay. Hence the term MSM. But I think this is interesting because when I'm mentioning the Kyler Murrays and the Dante DiVincenzo's and Kevin Hart, these are people that if they were looked at as sleeping with other men or being open-minded sexually, their careers would probably be completely different. I
don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think we live in a world now. If you just got talent and you're super funny or you're super creative or whatever your talent may be, I don't think people really care anymore. I honestly don't think anybody cares.
But
don't
you think
there's more YouTubers, more these social media influencers who are making millions of dollars, and they're of every culture you can think of, whether they're black or gay or lesbian or trans, and they're making millions of dollars off YouTube, and they're making money. And there's a lot of celebrities that are proudly coming out. That are coming out proud to be gay, and they're not losing anything.
Well, I've always said I don't understand the Caitlyn.
They're gay.
I've always said I don't understand the Caitlyn Jenner experience. I don't understand the desire to change your sex. I don't understand the need to change your sex because that doesn't apply to me.
I don't get that either. It is what it is.
But the thing is that I've worked with people who consider themselves transgender or who are going through part of the process, and in some cases I've said, okay, well, this person is going through some serious psychological issues. In other cases, a person just said, you know what, that's not who I am. This is who I am. So when I think about someone like Tina Marie, and Tina Marie's no longer with us, she's black. She's a sister. And I think Eminem, if you put him with a bunch of white people, he will just stand out like a sore thumb. That boy grew up in Detroit. You know what I mean? But then there are other people who they want to be able to flirt with the gays and the lesbians. They want to be able to flirt with the black lifestyle, but they don't really want to be part of the lifestyle. The Kardashians like to flirt with the black experience. but you ain't black. You get what I'm saying? You want to marry a black man, but you still ain't black. Your baby's black.
Lebanese. They was white,
You said
like
what?
Lebanese.
Well, they're darker, and in our society, we tend to look down on them, you know. But now we're, you know, here in the United States, we're bringing in more Eastern Europeans.
Nobody really looks down on anybody. I think that's just a thing that people are throwing in their own mind and head, that they think people are looking down. Nobody's doing that.
Well, you know, it's so it gets to the point of privilege. And I had to call out somebody on the train today. There was a big sister sitting on the train, and she was overlapping into the other seat. And then there was a Caucasian male, and he was sitting in the other seat, and he had his legs spread open. So I said, well, I want to sit down. I got to come to Westchester Square to film a show, and I need to rest my back. Somebody tripped me, and I fell on my hip. So my man got up and looked at me and said, "You happy now?" And he was angry that I wanted to sit down.
What privilege is that? That's just being a dick.
Well, right. But I told him, I said, you know what? I don't feel like dealing with your Caucasian entitlement right now. What was that?
Oh, Christy yelled out, that's called man spreading.
Right. He did a man spread, but we were dealing with the...
I think it has nothing to do with being privileged. It has nothing to do with race. I mean, in your head it's race, but really just some guys are just dicks, and some people are just assholes. That's it. That's life. And there are a few of them out there. We all are aware of them. We're all grown folks, and we all know what's out there and what to avoid. If we think that somebody's ignorant in their life, we walk away and we choose, that's not a person I want to associate with. I'm 40 years old, and I have lived in L.A., New York, Miami, raised in Dallas, or born in Dallas, raised in Oklahoma. I was raised in poverty, and then I watched my family build and grow from the ground up, like any other family that has, you know, that opportunity. But there's no privilege. It's just people are dicks. You know, I've seen it all. I've been around it all. I've seen them all, and they come with all shapes and sizes and colors and religions. And people are just assholes.
All right, so bear with me, Tommy, for a second. I want to shift this conversation somewhat. So people are assholes, and it's not necessarily race. It's not necessarily sexuality, but we were talking about Rock Hudson not wanting to come out, contracting AIDS, and being, you know, and this was in the 80s when he was basically ostracized. People wouldn't go near him. And someone like Elizabeth Taylor had to get in the bed with him and hug him and rock him and cradle him people like Princess Diana to see that this was okay. And then when we talk about earlier in the broadcast, we talked about Freddie Mercury of Queen and how he also contracted AIDS in his career. He was sleeping with men, he was sleeping with women, and he lost his life. Two geniuses. Well, I'll call Freddie Mercury a genius. I'll say that Rock Hudson was a very, very lucky guy. Do either of you think, I mean, you worked in music. Tommy, you've worked in movies and TV. Do you think there is still this issue with people being HIV positive?
No, absolutely not. That was the 80s back then, and a lot of people didn't understand it. They were scared of it. They just heard you die. Now, there's so much education on that material, and there's a lot of advocates that's very open that people are aware. Can't contract AIDS or HIV by a hug, you know? It takes way more than that. And people are just aware. There's more knowledge. Back then, I get it. It was new. I mean, I'd be scared if I heard of a disease that kill you instantly, you know, down there. Going to take your life, and there's no chance of hope of surviving it. Yeah, it's scary for anybody to know that, you know, not knowing how to cure it or how to handle it. The medicines weren't there. I think people are aware of it.
Wow. I think we have a lot of evolving to do. I would like to see my gay and lesbian community just be able to sometimes be less angry and be able to take the joke. But I would also like to see my bisexual and my heterosexual counterparts to be able to discuss something without being hostile. I think that's what people are afraid of, is they're afraid of the hostility. And there's still this stigma with the possibility that, well, if I'm associating with them, maybe I'll catch something. Maybe I'll catch an STD. You know, most of y'all mofos done had this, that, or the other. You just didn't want to admit it. But that's what we would, you know, in the entertainment industry, people are just sleeping around. People are just dipping and dabbing and doodling and doing their thing.
It's more common to go out to the bar and club nowadays and pick up somebody, take them home for a night, and you're more likely to catch something like that than you are to be around, you know, gay or lesbians that have anything.
Well, listen, Tommy, we're gonna take a short break because when we come back, I would like to be able to discuss the club scene and how things have changed. Al started in the broadcast to tell me a little bit about how things have evolved. But after the period of the whole AIDS crisis, and then we're dealing with the whole Trump administration, and the entertainment industry has changed dramatically. So with that being said, we're going to Tommy, thank you for calling in. We are going to go to some music here. I am your host, Marquis Devereaux, on Verbal Assault Radio Entertainment Debate. We are the invaders of your audio experience. You are listening to iAccess Radio. We are now going to go to the music, and we will be right back.
but you say look, yeah, but don't touch, baby. No, 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 don't touch. Who's that lady? Who's that lady? Sexy lady. Who's that lady? Beautiful lady. Who's that lady? Fine lady. Who's that lady? I would dance upon a string, any gift she'd wanna bring. I would give her anything if she would just do what I say. Come around my way, baby. Shine my way. Who's that lady? Who's that lady? Beautiful lady. Who's that lady? Lovely lady. Who's that lady? Real fine lady. Who's that lady? I would love to take her home, but her heart is made of stone. Gotta keep on keeping on if I don't. She'll do me wrong. Do me wrong. Who's that lady? Who's that lady? Beautiful lady. Who's that lady? Lovely lady. Who's that lady? Real fine lady. Who's that lady? Hear me calling out to you, 'cause that's all that I can do. Your eyes tell me to pursue, but you say look, yeah, but don't touch, baby. No, 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 don't touch. Who's that lady? Who's that lady? Sexy lady. Once you see your light so clear, hey, in the sky so very dear, yeah. You're a shining star, no matter who you are, shining bright to see what you can truly be, what you can truly be. Shining like I'm into view, shining bright the light on you. Yeah, give you strength to carry on, yeah. Yeah, make your body big and strong, yeah. Oh, metro of the sun, yeah, yeah. So my week had just begun, yeah. Oh, there's a strong long, yeah. That's it now, I got my own, oh yeah, oh yeah. So when you find yourself in need, why don't you listen to his words of heat? Be a giant grain of sand, words of wisdom, yes I can. You're a shining star, no matter who you are, shining bright to see what you can truly be. You're a shining star, no matter who you are, shining bright to see what you can truly be. You're a shining star, no matter who you are, shining bright to see what you can truly be. Shining Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be. Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be. Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be.
Man, Rufus with Shaka Khan. Tell me something good, Isley Brothers. Who's that lady? Shining Star. Who's that?
Shining Star is Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. I knew that though. Hey, listen, man. It's late, and we are coming to y'all on a Monday night. So those of you that are tuned into iAccess Radio, thank you for tuning in. You're tuned into Verbal Assault Debate Entertainment Radio. We're the invaders of your audio experience. You're watching us on iAccessRadio.com, the future of radio. If you want to be part of the conversation, 347-708-0216 is the call-in number. We have been discussing some various things, and we were talking about the Billboard Music Awards earlier in the show. Then we were talking about Bohemian Rhapsody, and we're talking mostly about how AIDS has affected so much of the entertainment industry that that movie Bohemian Rhapsody was an eye-opener. And, you know, even Rock Hudson, who was known to be a matinee screen idol, he had to deal with his own demons because he wasn't truthful with who he was. But Al, brother, tell me, the 80s, we got the 90s. I thought the 90s was a good time in music. Buffalo Stance, come on, dance with me, no bop man, conceal my love. You know, I like the 90s. And then the 2000s, I kind of wasn't sure what was going on, but now we in 2018. I don't know if I like music as much now.
Well, I'm kind of with you on that. The music today, there is no real creativity. Everybody's doing the copycat thing. They're emulating what they hear or from other artists. Nobody's really going out to search for that unique person that has a different sound that sets himself apart or herself apart from everything else that's out.
Because I don't think formulas work.
Well, formulas work only when you're arranging and putting music together.
Right.
Okay, but
it's mathematical.
Right, but as far as the creativity and what the mind perceives and what the great mind gives you, we're missing that.
Yeah.
You know, everything is explicits and these big F words and body parts when they singing songs.
Right.
Back in the days, you know, things were suggestive.
Yeah.
Okay. It left room for your imagination. It allowed you to hear something, okay, and get a different vision than I would get. You know what I'm saying? And that's what made music special and unique. And then also, music is supposed to take you to a time and a place where it brings back memories.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
A lot of the stuff that I'm listening to and hearing right now, I'm like, what is memorable about that?
Yeah.
You know,
it's really funny because I was reading, I don't know if I was reading the Daily News or, I'm pretty sure it was the Daily News. No, as a matter of fact, I think it was the New York Post. And they were talking about Shaka Khan. And Shaka Khan said that she goes to sleep in her granny nightgown. Now, she's older than me, obviously.
Right.
And, you know, she's probably a grandmother. But she's still busting a move. If she gets on the stage, she can still bring it, you know? And so she was talking about how she's got her little bonnet she puts on her head and she has her hot tea. Now, that's something that Tina Turner would also do. Now, Tina Turner is up there in her years, but these women, they've had these full music careers. And when you listen to a Shaka Khan, tell me something good, you know that, and tell me now, you know, I love me some Shaka Khan. Love her. And you hear her voice, you know who she is.
Right.
You know who she is. I didn't mention Patti LaBelle was at the Billboard Awards. I'm upset that she didn't sing.
Okay.
I'm upset.
They didn't want her to take the shine. You know how Patty is. See, Patty can't get on stage and not take the shine. So if this thing was about other people, then it's like, you know what, Patty, we're going to ask you to politely sit tonight.
Hold on, but wait, okay. So, and I'm glad that we're talking about Patti LaBelle because when was the last time you watched Empire?
I haven't.
Why?
Because I don't watch it. I'm not, it's you know, again, is when I see stuff like that, it's like I've been there, done that. There's
Really?
nothing unique or anything special about it.
See, to me,
And then they
Empire's the
glorify-
Black Dynasty.
Yeah, but then they glorify the negative aspect of it. You know what I mean? And it's a problem for me because we got these young kids coming up, want to be in the music business, and they watch that and they think that all that negativity is cool. You know?
Well-
so you're sending the wrong message.
Well, when I watch the show and I look at aspects of the show, I ask myself how much of that is real. And I think a good part of it might be. But I've not worked in the industry like you have. I've been in talent all these years. I'm only just beginning to be a producer. And I got to tell you, as a producer, I can't stand egos. Everybody's got an ego.
Well, see, but that's the problem with the entertainment business is that the only people that survive in that business is those who have creative abilities. And if you come into that business, that means that everybody has a creative ability. And with that creative ability comes a certain type of ego. Some egos are really flamboyant, some are minimal, and then others are extravagant. But if you're in that business, there's egos. So
Right.
you can't come into it expecting not to have to deal with
This is
somebody
true.
and the way they perceive things and what they think
I
is
agree.
really creative.
I agree. But my problem is that if I'm creating a project and I'm the showrunner or the executive producer, how do you come into my project and tell me what I'm going to do?
Because again, like I said, even though it's your project, those creative minds gonna have something to say. Damn. Because they have their own vision too. You know, just like in the workplace now, there's no more. You come in the workplace, I give you a task, and you do what I tell you to
Right.
do. No, there are entrepreneurs now who they
Intrapreneur.
come in, right? They bring
Wow.
these people in to have those creative aspects in the business to help grow the business. Because sometimes we sit at the top as leaders and we lose the vision because we're used to doing things our way.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So when you bring that young blood in that's got that creative mind and has
Right.
that energy,
Yeah.
it keeps you to a level where you need to be.
This is
so
true.
You're gonna have to allow them to spread their wings.
I'm glad you said that because what I find now is that I find that we don't have the level of creativity that we used to have.
Right.
And I listen to music now. I mean, listen, we were talking about, saying the word nigger or saying kike or saying faggot. I mean, we used to hear stuff like that on TV, Whitey, all the time. We didn't stress about it because that was part of our reality.
Right.
And now we're so busy trying to be PC, but it's still part of the reality. It's an ugly reality. You know, it may not happen as frequently. We may be less overt, but it's still part of a reality.
All I'm saying is that there's certain things that are going to be said that you might not like, but you don't have to take it to the extreme.
Right.
It's part of
Right.
It's part of living. It's part of being a person and growing. It's like you could hear things now that you heard back in the days when you were a kid, and you're like, that stuff don't even faze me.
Right.
You know, but for some people, it's like the last day on earth for them. You know.
I'm gonna share a funny. Well, it's not funny. A situation happened recently. There's an elementary school. It could be a middle school. I think it's a middle school. They wanted to put on The Sound of Music. And The Sound of Music, I've never seen it. I've seen parts of it. Apparently, The Sound of Music is about a family escaping Austria because it was invaded by the Nazis. And so there's a point in the movie where there are Nazi flags that are present, you know, and we're talking about that period. What was it, the 40s to 50s? I'm not sure.
Right, 40s, mid-40s.
Okay, probably.
early 50s.
And so this school decided that they wanted to put on this play. And yet the principal said you can't use the Nazi flags. Now, you can't tell the story without the Nazi flags.
Right. And that's my point. That's my point. So you read the book, and the book in detail speaks about those flags. And then you say, okay, because of my beliefs and what I perceive things, how I look at things, you cannot use the flags. So whose story are you telling?
Okay.
Whose movie are you doing? Are you reproducing the movie and rewriting it now?
Right.
Okay, because that's what's going to happen. So either you're going to give us what has already been written,
Okay.
or you're going to make up your own thing. But see, when people put their own spin on it, their own interpretation on it, then it takes away from the understanding of what it's really about. Okay, and like you said, it's about a family during that wartime who ran off to Austria because they could no longer live in the country that they were raised in. And they were looking for peace. They were looking for a certain type of lifestyle through the sound of music.
So we use music differently now than we've used it then. Music was used to bring people together. Music was used to express a thought. Music was used to pay the rent.
Yes.
Music was used to make love. Music was used to make a statement, you know? And now, I don't know. I just think music is used to control people. It's like, let's just play the same beat over and over again.
You're partly right, because the powers that be that control that music industry, they're like, okay, this is where the money is. This is what the trend is. This is where we can make the quickest money. So what we'll do is we'll be the vehicle behind these people. Okay, we'll put them out there. We'll reap the benefits, and then we'll send them on their way.
Wow.
Okay, we'll do 360 deals with them. So
Right.
every piece of money that they get, we're getting a bigger percentage of it.
Ain't that something?
And then when we get tired of them, we'll put them on the shelf, and we'll go get somebody else and put them out there. You know, so it's like a revolving door of misfits that come through. They put them out there, and when they get tired of them, then they throw them back to the wolves. And now these people are destitute. They don't know what to do. If they didn't learn anything about the business, they wonder how they're going to survive. Again, you know, there's always a training ground. For
You think
whatever
so?
you do, whatever you do in life,
There's always a training
always
ground.
a training ground.
I don't know. Some of us, I listen. I've been around the block. It took me until about 50 to realize I think I better work in TV because I like to run my mouth. I think I better do radio because I like music.
But let me show you something. So you like TV, you like radio,
Podcasts.
but you can't tell me that as you go through those things, as you thrive and you want to be more involved in those things, you're not picking up the little intricate parts that puts it together.
I'm gonna say this. If I were Beyonce married to a Jay-Z or Jay-Z married to B, I can't say I wouldn't learn anything because I'm like a sponge. I absorb. What I think is that there are people out there that are very, very lucky. I think that everyone picks up something at some point, but I think there are people that are very, very lucky. And they need to be smart, they need to be ready, and they need to be lucky. And they need to be well affiliated. And I just really think that we need to be able to turn on the radio, and we need to be able to feel good. It's funny because James Young wrote on the Facebook Live feed, he says, I see you're playing that good music for the soul. And that is something that I wanted us to create when we put together, Verbal Assault, Debate Entertainment Radio. But at the end of the day, what I'm seeing now is I'm seeing a restriction. So I'm hoping that with the YouTubes, with the Periscopes, with the Facebook Lives, I'm hoping that we get exposed to something like, look at The Weeknd. The Weeknd, I think, is extremely unusual. I think that Bruno Mars is extremely unusual.
Absolutely.
But when I listen to a Cardi B, there are people that like that. It's a little.
Well, she's a unique endeavor.
She is, but so is Nicki
Okay?
Minaj.
But still, and so is Nicki Minaj. But you have to understand the vehicle and the team behind these people.
Right. The
That's why
team.
they're so successful.
Right.
It's not anything that they've done completely on their own.
No.
There's somebody that said, okay, I like this. I know what I could do with this image. I could take it, create a marketing plan. We'll do a full promotion on it. We'll cut several records that was based on her personality. Then we'll link her up with all the major artists out there. So now she could be relevant every time you turn
And
around.
she is relevant. They're talking about her being in court. Well, she just picked up a Grammy Award. Now she's in court with Swarovski nails. I didn't need to know where her nails came from.
Right.
That's not even part of the story I'm
But
interested
see,
in.
even when it comes to marketing and merchandising, okay, you still have to understand that there's going to be a negative connotation with some of these things that they're going to promote to keep her relevant.
Right.
Okay, and that's with anything in the business. Okay, this entertainment business not always about the good stuff. Sometimes about the bad stuff.
Sometimes?
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
absolutely. And even let's look at Bruno Mars.
Yes.
Okay, if you listen to his music, the
Yes.
foundation of his music is funk.
Yeah. But I
Pure
think he hits every
funk.
decade. I think he hits
But
every
I'm gonna
decade.
tell you what he's done.
Okay.
He's went back to the early '80s. He found a feel that's real good to the soul. And him and his producers and his team sat down and say, this is what we're going to create off of. Okay? And every time they've done it, it's been hit.
But he's done a
after hit.
70s song, he did an 80s song, he did a 90s song, and I'm like, he's got a really, really powerful team behind him that's able to get, like, Bruno Mars is the exception to the rule. The Weeknd is the exception to the rule. I don't know. I don't know if we'll have another Patti LaBelle.
Oh,
That's
yes,
why I
we
don't
will.
want to. I don't want to
Yes,
let
we
her go.
will.
I don't
Yes,
want to
we
let it
will.
go.
Well, yes, we will, and we will always have someone out there with a voice of that nature, of that caliber.
I'm waiting.
You know, but again, it's for the powers that be to say, okay, now it's trying to change the dynamic and go to this. But until they do that, or unless somebody comes out independent and starts killing the vibe and be the next big viral thing,
Right.
they're not looking for that.
I hate that word, viral.
Because the problem right now, especially with this social media, is that everybody want to do what's current, what's trending. Okay, if it's not current, if it's not trending, then it's not happening.
Right.
Look at Janelle
Janelle Monáe.
Monáe. She quietly became a superstar.
Right.
Okay, but that's because her and her team kept knocking at the door.
Right.
They had a chisel and they kept banging that chisel on that piece of brick until they broke through it.
Wow.
Now it's like you can't deny her.
Right. You can't.
You can't.
You
deny
can't.
her.
She's in a class by
And-
herself.
and she's a musical genius.
And is she Afropunk?
She is funk too.
Funk too.
She's funk
Okay.
too. She redid a Parliament Funkadelic song.
No.
Oh man.
Oh,
she killed it.
Oh, wait a minute. Can you find that song? Because I want to close out the show with that song. A Parliament Funkadelic song. Are you sure?
Gosh. I wish I could remember off the top of my head. It's just really crazy to me. What we have to contend with in this music business when it should be really about entertaining people.
Right.
You know, and bringing people together.
But you know it's about to control. Hold on, let me sign out of here. And listen, you guys, I want to thank those of you that have tuned into iAccess Radio. As you know, we come to you on Monday nights, usually at about 6 o'clock. And we go, sorry, let me correct myself, 7 o'clock. Something we were a little bit late today. And we usually go until about 9. A couple hours of entertainment for you. We play all types of music. We play soul, funk, disco, rap, rock. I don't know. Maybe we'll play new wave soon. Maybe we'll play punk. I don't know. But you are, some of you are looking at us on Facebook Live. Some of you are looking at us on Periscope. And some of you are looking at us on YouTube Live. I want to thank you for joining us, and please be sure to comment. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you'd like to hear, because that's very, very important. And as always, 347-708-0216 is the number that you can call in. I want to hear from all of you. I'm Marky Devereaux, your host. This is Big Al. Now, Big Al right now is looking up a song by Janelle Monáe, but the song is actually by Parliament Funkadelic,
Right,
he
it's
said.
like a remake.
But Janelle Monáe did the remake. Now, I just saw Janelle Monáe at the Billboard Awards. I believe she got a Trailblazer Award or something like that. Well deserved, Janelle. We appreciate you. And for all of my women out there that are getting out there in the entertainment industry doing your thing, I applaud you. We applaud you. And for my gay and lesbian community and you guys, we got into a very, very serious discussion today. And I think it was civil, and I think it was informative. Are we being too sensitive? Are there things that we can do differently? Can we not take a joke? Comedians, they're supposed to be the ones that are able to make the jokes. And sometimes a joke is made at your expense. So do we ban comedy because it's not PC? So with that being said, I want you guys to be sure to tune into us next week. And we want to be part of your listening experience. Is it the song? That's not the song. Don't record that one, because that ain't the song. So I am signing out of my Facebook Live because I also wanted to touch base with you guys and just kind of see what you thought. We like having you, and we like having you listen, and we like having you partake. But don't be lazy, guys. Give a call. 347-708-0216. Is the number that you can reach us at. You can also reach us on iaccessradio.com on your desktops and your tablets, as well as your phone. But do remember that there's also an app, and the app will give you access to other iAccess Radio shows like Violators Unlimited, Let's Be Clear, and Sisterhood Radio Unlimited. All right, I am your host, Marky Devereaux. Verbal Assault, Debate, Entertainment Radio. We are the invaders of your audio experience. How you doing with that song?
Anyway, we can't find it.
We can't find the song. All right, we're gonna play this song, okay? And we're gonna have you guys tune in to us next week, same time, same place.
This ain't no acrobatics. You either follow or you lead. Yeah, I'm talking about you. I'll keep on blaming the machine. Yeah, I'm talking about it. Talking about it. I can't complain about it. I gotta keep my balance and just keep dancing on it. We getting funky on the scene, and you know about it. Like a star on the screen. Watch me tip all on it. Now, baby, whether I'm high or low, baby, whether you're high or low, you got to tip on the tightrope. Yeah, tip on the tightrope. Baby, whether you're high or low, baby, whether you're high or low, tip on the tightrope. Baby, let me see your tightrope. And I'm still tipping on it.
You gotta keep your balance or you fall into the gap. It's a challenge, but I manage cause I'm cautious with the strap. Do damage to your cabbage that a doctor cannot pass. See why you don't want no friction like the back of a matchbook. That if SS will fold you on your MacBook. Close shows such a